Hey, what's up? This is Jay Crimson from the Crimson Cult Podcast. If you are interested in starting your own podcast like me, there's no place to go but Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the best and easiest way to make a podcast. You can trim, edit, add music, add background noises, whatever, all on your phone. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thanks for listening.
Hello.
Jason, CJ Graham, Jason Voorhees.
How are you?
Good, man. Just pulled into where I was going to be. My wife is in a tournament for tennis, so when you said it was just a phone thing, I didn't have to worry about brushing my teeth or combing my hair.
Right. Welcome to the cult.
Is it just called the cult? Nothing else?
The Crimson Cult Podcast.
So say that again, Crimson?
The Crimson Cult Podcast, yes indeed.
So, okay, Crimson, isn't that like a football team or something?
Yeah, but it all started with my love for the Misfits, and I used to do deathmatch wrestling.
Oh, okay.
So, everyone, CJ Graham, American actor who became known for playing Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. So,
hey, Jason, thanks for inviting me, buddy.
Thank you. So let's get right into your history. So you owned a nightclub before playing a serial killer.
Yeah, you know, Jason, they always say, they get a couple things confused. It's like passing the word down 15 kids. By the time you get to the end, it was purple, not blue. I was a general manager of a nightclub, about 15,000 square foot club. About 1,800 to 2,000 people on Friday night, so Fridays, Saturdays. It was a big club. So I wasn't actually the owner per se, but I was the general manager of the operator.
Gotcha. So was that kind of training to play Jason?
Yeah, no, I think the training, in my opinion, was probably being in the military because once you put a uniform on, if you've been in the service or anybody out there listening has, you kind of learn to walk with your shoulders back 30 inches all around and with an authoritative figure at 6'3", 250, some of that's natural.
Right. I didn't know that about you.
That I was an authoritative figure or 6'3", 250?
That you were in the military.
Yeah, I was in the military 46 years ago.
So how was your experience playing Jason Voorhees?
Exceptional. Shocked at this time that we're having this conversation 3 decades later.
Right.
That the fans are still embracing it, engaged. At the time, it was just an opportunity to play a homicidal killer, and I thought I could do a good job of that. So it was fun. I did it, and not knowing or unbeknownst to me, a good friend of mine, Kane Hodder, picked up parts 7, 8, 9, 10, and over the years, Ken, and then again, Derek did the last one, 2009, and the popularity of Jason has just become a worldwide icon, to be quite honest, and it's a very humbling experience.
I am a huge fan of the one you were in. Part 6 is a favorite of mine, and same with my bass player. He loves that one.
It's a favorite of mine too, but don't tell anybody.
My bass player was really excited when I told him. So during the filming, are there any stories that stand out?
Well, I can tell you, I'll give you some things because when you're out there, a lot of people ask a lot of questions when I'm doing conventions or podcasts or just interviews, and most importantly to me is making sure you give an answer like it's the first time you ever answered it, because a lot of the questions, I maybe have been asked 1,000 times or more, but for that person asking the question, it's the first time that they've heard it and they're getting the information. So I always want to make sure that I really explain it in a little bit of granular detail so that they can get a vibe for it. For the movie itself, I was excited about it. Number one, you may or may not know this, I'd never done a stunt in my life when I got this job. As you know, I did all my own stunts. That was part of the contractual agreement, not to mention my physical size. So me being set on fire, a half a burn, and being 20 feet underwater, breathing off regulators, and physically chained to the bottom of a Olympic-sized diving pool. For me to go through a wall, through a door, and have a cable hooked on my back when I get it with a shotgun, I've never done that before in my life. It was, okay, I can do that, and thank goodness I didn't get really banged up too badly, but at the same time, we were very successful. I did a panel a few years ago with Tom, Steve, and Kane Hodder, and somebody in the audience of about 300 people asked about our stunt background, and each one of the guys said their background. When it got to me, I just said, well, I didn't go to stunt school. And King looked at me because he was right next to me. I said, what do you mean you didn't go to school? I said, I never did a stunt in my life until I did the movie. He goes, are you serious, Siege? Because he calls me Siege. I go, yeah. He goes, I never knew that. He goes, you did a great job. He goes, but I didn't know you'd never been to stunt school. It was just, I felt comfortable, Jason. I felt that my stunt coordinator had my back. And, I'm young. I'm in my late mid-20s. I'm a little cocky.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, to be quite honest. I'm very, again, humbly appreciative that I just did a gig last weekend at a place called The Gas Station in Texas.
Okay.
It happens to be where they did the Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Oh, okay.
It's now a barbecue and a museum. And I had a little man come up to me in full wardrobe, dressed like Steve Dash from Part 2 with the hood, and he was 2 years old. So I'll give you an idea. He came up to about my kneecap. How amazing is you've got a 2-year-old that wants to get a picture with Jason, filmed in 1986. And then, of course, I had fans that were as old as me and older. So, again, when you talk about the movie itself and what some of the memories are, most importantly, just honored to be here and thinking about, wow, who knew, over 3 decades ago that we'd be having this conversation today.
Right. That is crazy. That's awesome. Are you a big horror fan?
I'm not of major proportions, to be honest. I like action and adventure because, I've got an attention issue where I got to see something going on, otherwise I go to sleep.
Right.
But you know what? Back in those days, I really appreciated the universal horror figures, which would be Frankenstein, Dracula, Mummy, Werewolf.
Yep.
So I really kind of leaned towards those. Actually, I think that was a benefit because Tom McLaughlin, the writer-director of Part 6, was also a big Universal horror fan. So during my meetings with him, he really wanted to be similar to a Frankenstein coming back to life, but not a zombie. And what I mean by that, to distinguish between the two, if you think about Frankenstein coming back to life with electricity, throughout his movie, he starts thinking a little bit. The dots are starting to be reconnected in his brain, and there's a curiosity factor rather than just walking around like a zombie, right?
Right.
So that connectivity, I think, worked well with Tom McLaughlin, and, I think we, as a team, did a really good job overall. I'm pleasantly pleased, with my performance. Not ever doing a movie or not ever doing a stunt before, but more pleasantly pleased that I didn't let it go to my head over the years. I just did my job, as you would say in the military, and they paid me really good for it, which I thought was really cool.
That's always a plus.
Yeah, you're in a band. Hey, when they pay you, it's all good.
Right, yeah, it's all good. Do you have any favorite action-adventure movies?
I like anything action-adventure, and I mean that from a perspective. I think Fast and Furious movies are amazing. However, I lean towards the Friday the 13th more because I think fans, anybody can jump out of a plane on a screen with a cable, land on a tank, jump over 50 yards, hit the ground, and pick up a 50-cal machine gun and shoot it. My point is, when you play Jason, everything you do is direct. That's me going through the wall physically. That's not, a green screen. That's not a cable attachment. That's not me doing a backflip, etc. That's the real deal. So I think people appreciate those type of horror movies of the 80s that are still popular today because the realistic film, it's, you look out your window right now, Jason could be standing there with a machete, and that's possible. Now, is the 747 going to land in your place and a guy jump out of it and jump on a car and drive off? Not really. But I do like the action adventure of those. I like the Rambo movies that go so well. I think all of those are very intriguing, the way they're put together.
Me too.
But as far as having a favorite, I just like the action adventure. I think they're great. There are some other films that I find interesting, but I really think those are the type to keep my attention. So I watched a series on Netflix, as we've all been locked down over the last year, Punisher. And that guy was pretty cool. He was always willing to take a beating, but you could see a lot of it was, he wasn't doing backflips and jumps and parachuting into an LZ. He was actually walking into a gym and doing a fist fight. You could tell they were all putting their physical best into it.
That is awesome. So you also played Hell Cop in the horror film Highway to Hell. That movie was a fun watch.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I got that part about a year and a half later, and unfortunately, the month of the distribution for national distribution to theaters, the company called Hemdale bankruptcy. So that film sat on the shelves all those years. Today, I still have about 10 of the original black and white movie posters that were going to be distributed to the theaters in a box sent to me by Hemdale. But going back to Hemdale, it sat on the shelves until a few years ago, United Artists, MGM, bought the library, and in that library, it included Highway to Hell. And I do believe it's on a Blu-ray now, DVD, where people can catch up to it. A lot of people are shocked when they see it. They didn't know it was me. So when they find out it's me, because I'll have a photo of me as Hell Cop at my table at a convention, they go, "Oh my God, you were Hell Cop! I didn't know that." Well, it didn't get the national distribution, so it's kind of a cult classic, so to speak. No pun intended. But I think people see it. Chad Lowe, Rob Lowe's younger brother, is in it. Christy Swanson, you may recall her from Buffy and the Vampire, the original.
Oh, yeah.
Patrick Bergin is the devil. He was opposite of Julia Roberts in Sleeping with the Enemy. And do you happen to know a guy named Ben Stiller?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Ben's in it for about 6 or 8 seconds.
Yep. Good movie.
And I mean that respectfully. His mom and dad are in it. Bless both their hearts. And his sister has a small part, but what does Ben make about now? About, 15, 20 million a movie?
Right.
I just think I got shortchanged at the end of the day.
Right. How was the whole experience filming Highway to Hell?
It was great. I mean, again, physically, that's what they were looking for. Prosthetics were 5 hours with the makeup.
Ooh.
It was all physical characteristics. Stunts were very, very easy. It was more just a physical character. Taking over a girl from a trip to Vegas and taking her to the devil, Patrick Bergin. And then they left it open at the end where Jason got hit Hell Cop got hit, and he goes deeper into hell, thus setting it up for a part 2 if there was opportunity. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, it BK'd bankruptcy and it never got out to distribution. So it's kind of a classic cult now.
Yeah.
But it was you know what? I mean, now that people find out about it, they're more shocked because they didn't know. It says right there C.J. Graham, but I don't think people put 2 and 2 together.
Nope, I don't think they did either. And I did, and but I'm kind of a horror guy. So, yeah. Did you have a memorable experience filming being Hell Cop?
I'm not necessarily memorable, but I will tell you it was great working with all those actors and actresses. It was my second time doing a feature film and an opportunity to work with these people. Prosthetically, I would be in makeup for 5 hours in the morning, watching MTV in those days, falling asleep while they were doing all my makeup. I would have to eat food during the lunch break out of a straw, like a milkshake, protein shake, because I actually couldn't eat food on set because the lips were glued right onto my lips, right up to the edge, and if I started eating a burger or something, it would separate the glue from my lips, and then thus you wouldn't have the effect you're looking for. So, I was drinking protein shakes for lunch. Once a week I'd get a facial because with all that glue on my face, and every night it'd take an hour just to get the makeup off. It was physically glued 5 different pieces to my head, so that when I moved my eyebrows, my nose, my cheeks, my jawline, the entire prosthetics moved with me. So it was amazing. The gentleman named Steve Johnson did all the effects. And if you know about Steve Johnson, or anybody wants to look him up, he's got a resume as long as your arm, very similar to Tom Savini.
Nice. You work with Tom Savini, right?
Not worked with him on a film. I've worked with him, obviously, doing conventions and photo ops.
What was the best horror convention you've been a part of?
Well, that's a loaded question, but there's 2 conventions in America that are the best of the best. First and foremost would be Monster Mania, which is Dave out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And the other one of equality, the best in the United States, is Texas Frightmare in Dallas. And Lloyd has that convention. Those are the 2 premier horror conventions in America. Those are the top of the top. And then there's great ones. Days of the Dead does great. Spooky Empire is amazing. You've got some Comic Cons here and there, Crypticon, and the list just kind of goes on. Is there a bad one? Never. They're all great because I'm appreciative. You will find that the best one in England is one over there in Manchester. And then, of course, I've had the fortunate to go to Sweden and do a show, as well as Germany.
Excellent. So do they have things where you answer questions and talk about how, like, pretty much what we're doing now, but in person?
Exactly. We do all the shows I do. Usually want to do a panel. If there's more than an actor like myself, like Darcy DeMoss did the gas station together with me last weekend. There wasn't a panel there because we're working at a museum, just the 2 of us. Now, when I do a show coming up in Chicago in a couple of weeks, Days of the Dead, of course you'll do a panel. The fans love having a panel with 1 or 2 people from the movie. Sometimes you do where another Jason is there, will be part of the panel. Like it was a few weeks ago, it was Warrington, Gillette, and myself. And the questions are just immense from the fans, What was the best part? What do you like about it? What was your favorite kill is always a big, big question.
That was actually my next question.
I know, that's why I'm leading you into it. So the segue to that, partner, is my favorite kill personally is the sheriff having his back broke backwards.
Oh, yeah.
No blood, no guts, just pure force.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the 1988 The Blob, where the blob pushes that guy through that shelf or whatever it was. Oh, man.
It's the same concept. I mean, a good friend of mine, Ken Hodder, he'll tell you his favorite kill is the sleeping bag. Very similar content, meaning there's no blood, there's no guts, it's just pure power of him throwing that sleeping bag into a tree and breaking every bone in that body.
I love it. Did you work directly with Alice Cooper during the filming of Man in the Mask music video?
Yeah, I see Alice Cooper, for example. In fact, I'll see Alice Cooper in May in Las Vegas at a show, a convention called Days of the Dead.
Nice.
Alice Cooper and I will both be there doing photo ops. Not to mention we'll be signing autographs, of course. But I'll be doing a full wardrobe with Alice Cooper and the fans in May at Days of the Dead, Las Vegas.
That's awesome.
So I will say that, I get to see, I retired from running casino resorts about 4 years ago. I retired as a chief operating officer, general manager of multiple casinos. With that being said, up to that point, I was really running casinos for 25 years. And then once I retired, I was able to embrace Jason and do the conventions. And it's been a blessing. It's been fun. I have a great time, and I get to see Alice Cooper once a year. Good man, great man. He's got a wonderful wife, and he also, not only is he just a rock and roll Hall of Famer, but he embraces the Friday the 13th of horror. You or your fans probably don't know this because you're all pretty young, but my first concert that I went to when I was 16 was 1973, and it was Alice Cooper, and the show was called Welcome to My Nightmare.
Excellent.
So for me to come full circle is not only an honor, but a pleasure.
Right. Back to the conventions, do you have a favorite convention moment, something that surprised you or maybe was heartfelt?
Well, two, to be exact. Like I said, to give you an example, last week when we did this, the gas station it's called, to have a young person come up to you, 2 years old, full wardrobe, and to be a Jason fan, think about how heartfelt that is. I mean, that's, wow. You're shocked. I did have a photo op when I was in Germany a couple years back with a family. There were three of them. It was a father, a son, and a child of a son, grandson. So the father was probably, just guesstimating, 6'3", 6'2", in full wardrobe. His son was in wardrobe, about 5'10", and then his son's son, who was just a young person, maybe 7, 8 years old, each one of them was in a different Jason wardrobe taking photos with me. So how cool is that the generations have passed it on? As far as a heartfelt other one would be, one time I had a young man, 21-year-old, come up to me, and he got teary-eyed because when he was in high school, he got bullied a little bit, and it's unfortunate when that happens, but for him, his stress relief was going home and plugging in the VHS and watching Jason. And it wasn't because Jason was killing everybody, he said. It was because Jason was different, and it made him feel okay about it. And he was so appreciative to meet me at 21 years old. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange. Jason is not meant to be a psychologist, but you know what? How nice that it worked for that young man to get him out of his negative zone into what he considered a positive zone by watching Friday the 13th, Jason Lives.
That is great. Good story. Do you have any future goals, CJ?
Well, I mean, as far as goals, a year and a half ago, I did a fan film, which was Friday the 13th Vengeance. I played Elias Voorhees in it, which is Jason's father. A gentleman named Jason Brooks played Jason. We're about the same size physically. I might be just a little thicker. I grew a beard for 4 months, and I got this real long, strangly hair, so I kind of look like a true redneck in the sense of a redneck. Long leather jacket, and basically it is a Friday the 13th with vengeance where the father steps into the picture. The father has never been engaged. You may read some of the comics and books about Elias Voorhees, but nobody's ever seen him on screen. So it was kind of exciting, if you take a look at YouTube, the full movies there now, to see how Jason's father looks, the characteristics of where Jason Voorhees got his DNA. Secondarily, a year ago, before the pandemic, I worked with Deborah Voorhees on a movie called 13 Fanboy, which is now done, ready to go. I think she's just trying to figure out distribution, what she does now, because how things have changed. Dee Wallace, you may remember her from Cujo, E.T., she was the mother, along with Corey Feldman, Lar Park Lincoln, Kane Hodder is in it, to name a few. And it's a nice film that'll be coming out. And then I do have a couple more projects lined up over the next year. And over the next year, they'd like me to return to Friday the 13th, not Vengeance, but they want to do part 2, which is Bloodline.
That's cool. And those are fan films.
Yeah, so far as a goal, I'm retired. For me to go out and do the film thing now is for fun. And I appreciate that they want me to do something. So if I can help somebody else be as successful as I've been fortunate to be, that's cool. I get to pick and choose because I don't really need to do the functions. I get to do them with a real clear heart of enjoyment and fun, rather than I gotta pay the bills. No, I get to do it because I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna do a convention. Like I said, I'm going to Hartford, Connecticut in a couple of weeks, and I'm gonna be working at a comic book store over there for the day, signing autographs with all the fans and stuff. So, Jason, it's really unfortunate. I'm in a good space, and I'm very appreciative that our fans, you know, as I know you understand being a band member, that those fans, they can make you or they can break you, but when they embrace you, you know what, it's very pleasing.
Right, it's kind of like fuel to get to the next spot in life.
Yeah, and it gives you an opportunity to me at least, to be positive and look at opportunities. I'll give an example about the Jason character. And I use this as an analogy, and I think most people think, yeah, that's dead spot on. If you go to India, I think India has 1.3, 1.4 billion people.
Mm-hmm.
If you show a picture of Tom Cruise, they'll all know it's Tom Cruise. If you show them a picture of C.J. Graham, they're going to look like you like they're nuts. However, if you show them a picture of Jason in a hockey mask, they'll go, Jason, Friday the 13th.
Hell yeah.
They know the Jason character, and I have found that there are a lot of horror fans out there that don't necessarily talk about it every day. It's not the top of their conversation, but as soon as you say Jason or Friday the 13th, oh, I love that movie. I watched that movie with my mom or my father or my brother or my grandpa, and all of a sudden there's that connectivity between the Friday the 13th fan and just your everyday bankers, etc. I'll tell you a good story, Jason, is that one time a couple of years ago I was signing an autograph for a young lady, and I asked her, hey, what do you do? She goes, well, I'm a colonel in the United States Air Force. So me, I'm thinking, okay. And I said, well, ma'am, because, you know, I was in the military, so I get it, ma'am. What are you going to do with the photo? Oh, I'm going to put it in the back of my desk at the office. I said, so here comes a sergeant, a LT, whatever, and they're going to have to walk into your office, and you got Jason on the back frame. She goes, yep. Now, how cool is that?
That's cool.
So I'm very fortunate. Like I said, and being a vet, you know, I'm always appreciative of what I've done and what I did. You know, I'm in a good space, Jason. I've been very fortunate. I am older. I'm 64. I'm not a pup. But at the same time, you know, running casinos for 20, 25 years, you know, running nightclubs in the 80s, being in the military in the 70s, you know, I've done okay. That's
awesome. Thanks for sharing the stories. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, hey, I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you having me on the show. You know, the fans are amazing out there. They're the ones that keep the Friday the 13th going, to be quite honest. So thank you, fans. I appreciate it, as do the other Jasons. Derek Mears and Ken, who did Friday versus Jason. You've got Ken Otter, good guy out there. You may or may not know that Ari is still here. He was Jason number 1. We've lost Steve Dash, who played Jason 2.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Wayne Gillette kind of broke that movie up. There was half and half. And then, of course, Richard Brooker, Part 3, passed away about 5-6 years ago. Ted White is still with us. He played Part 4. I believe Ted White's about 94, 95 now. And he's so funny because I haven't done a show with him in maybe 4 years. But I will tell you, the last time I did a show with him in a panel, there was quite a few of us up there on stage, Jason's, and somebody, like he said, in his own words, in so many words, I'll paraphrase that I've done over 100 movies. He goes, I didn't even want my name on the credits for Part 4, which they did not put me on there per my request, yet everybody knows me because I played Jason, but they don't know about the other 99 films I did. You know, I go back to, you know, he was a huge stuntman with all the John Wayne movies. He doubled for John Wayne for years, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
But everybody knows him because he played Jason in Part 4.
Right. That's something.
So for closing, though, I appreciate it. I'm humbly appreciative. I look forward to seeing some of the fans at some of the conventions. You know, maybe we'll do a photo op in wardrobe, or we'll be able to chance to meet, take some selfies.
That would be awesome. All right. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time, and may peace be with you, C.J. Graham.
No problem. Talk to you later.
Goodbye.